Mm-hmm. You can do it, Time Warner. No dropped frames. Look at that. Actually, using the wrong version of Open Broadcaster. Duh. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. There we go. Much better. All right, so let's get into it. So firstly, I just messaged the winner of this battery. So the last stream we did a giveaway. First one was an Intel NUC. The second giveaway was this little 12-volt rechargeable battery. And the winner is Fabi. So I just messaged you. Do let me know what your address is and the full name to ship it to. Today's giveaway is going to be this old piece of shit. So this is a bit of an antique mini PC. I'm sure when this thing came out, it was considered a mini PC. Now it's like something that you can do your deltoid exercises with. Heavy. This is a Lenovo 9071, and there's a link in the description below so you can check it out. This was a mini PC by 2006's standards, I'm sure. It has a Core 2 Duo or a Core Duo CPU. It has 2 RAM sticks inside of it, which are... Let's take a look. Look at these specs. 1 gigabyte each. It has a SATA port. I repeat, a SATA port. And it has an optical drive, which I'm sure and confident does not work. This used to be my store's PBX. This was my store's PBX from the time that I opened in 2012 up until about a week or two ago when I replaced it with one of those Intel NUCs, and it did a fabulous job. It's compact, and it's also yours for free if you can leave a comment telling me why I should ship it to you. And it's even got 2 of the 4 rubber feet on the bottom. Look at that. Look at that. Who says I'm not a kind YouTuber that wants to give away to his fans? All right, so let's get started. So today we are going to be working on an 820-3437 that is not turning on. Actually, no, this is an 820-00165 that's not turning on. We're going to be plugging it in and seeing what we get. Before we get into this, one announcement. We'll see if I live to regret this. When I was younger, I had always kind of wanted to get an entry-level job doing something in electronics, but nobody was hiring, which is why I went to... I had my 2 choices of the hundreds of places I applied to that didn't accept me. Among them that didn't accept me, like Office Max, Kmart, Radio Shack. I had KFC and Model Sporting Goods, and the minimum wage back then was like $6 an hour. And that job sucked. So I am going to be announcing an entry-level job working here, doing this type of stuff. Entry-level, not career. Don't drive across the country over this. But if you are located in New York City and you watch these videos, and when I say what power rail comes up here, or what needs to show up first, or what does the _L mean, and you're always answering those things right because you watch all this stuff and you work at Model Sporting Goods or KFC, do respond. I left an email in the description below, entrylevel@rossmangroup.com, for the opportunity for a job. Again, not the highest paying thing in the world, but pays way better than working at Model Sporting Goods or KFC, I can tell you that much. So with that being said, let's get into this board repair. So let's take a look over it. First thing I got to do is plug it in, which means turning on my charger, because I got sick and tired of blowing up all of my fucking chargers. So what I do now is I cut up the MagSafes. And this only works if you do it with an 85-watt MagSafe on everything, because the type of MagSafe that the computer registered is at is all on the tip. I cut it up and I attached it to my power supply because I'm sick of killing these crappy chargers I've been getting. So now my charger is my HP 6542 power supply. So and the cool thing about this is I can actually see how many amps the device is drawing, which is pretty cool. You can see if what it's drawing, what it's doing. So let's plug this in and see what happens. And you have to be shitting me. It works. Wow. That's trolling. Really? Really? This was dead, right, a few minutes ago. And now it works. Can I apply to your entry level, says not Nitrocaster. You're supposed to be applying for a top tier engineering job at NVIDIA. So no. 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 Go work at NVIDIA. But yeah, seriously, this is working now, and it did not work about just literally 5 minutes ago when I took it out of the damn shelf. Hi to Dave. Wow, you are DJing at a bar and you're modding my chat. Help drunk people dance, man. What are you doing here? All right, so it looks like I have to grab another one. What is a PBX? That is my free PBX phone system, man. What do you think? I'm going to pay Time Warner for that too? You think I'm going to trust Time Warner with anything I don't have to trust them with? Hell no. Oh my God, you're going to hire a fan. We'll see. This could end up being either the best decision I've ever made or the worst thing I've done in my life. But there's one way to find out. Audio out of, yeah, audio's always out of sync. All right, so let's see. Save. I guess I have to open and close this every now and then. At least no. So let's grab another one. Dark Renegade says, I'm sending you guys 2 MacBooks for repair. My boss wants me to remove the drives first. Do you need him to diagnose the board or screen problem? Love your channel. Thank you. And no, we don't need any. Thank you to Dark Renegade for that. We don't need any drives to diagnose anything. I actually kind of prefer when people send it without the drive because then I can't get accused of looking through their data or something like that. I had somebody a few years ago say, the recently opened is newer, or last modified or last opened is different since I gave it to you. Did you go through? Like, no, I don't care. I don't care. As soon as, I don't even fucking put the thing back together. I don't even do that. I see the fan spin and I go to get a fucking goddamn burrito. I don't care about people's information. So I prefer when they show up without the drive because it means less random paranoia. Okay, so now I gotta find a different one because that board already works. Way to ruin my evening. Here we go. I got something that's nice and dead over here. Better stay dead if it knows what's good for it. If it knows what's good for it. So let's bring it over and see what happens. All right. What is your opinion on MSI laptops that run hot, someone says? I don't really, I guess, have one. I've fixed one MSI laptop in 6 years. So, not much in terms of an opinion, I'd say. All right. Okay, we've got a board that's actually hopefully dead. Hopefully really dead. Oh, Nitrocaster, don't say that. Oh, you've got to be shitting me. You know, I think I know what's going on here. The boards that don't want to turn on with the standard MagSafe will turn on with my Hewlett-Packard MagSafe. No, but this is... Really? Seriously? 2 boards in a row that work, that don't work off of... that didn't work up there. Look at this. I'm not making this up. You can't make this shit up. It's spinning. Wow. Seriously. I may have nothing to stream today at this rate. Maybe that's what I should do. I'm just going to start giving people back my HP 6542 and saying, carry this around with your computer. It'll be great. Carry this around. That's a great idea. Sure, everybody's going to be totally fine with that. Okay, what's next? Tell me there's something here that doesn't work. I guess this stream is really just going to be a giveaway of a Lenovo, and that's it at this rate. Everything's fixing itself tonight. That is beautiful. You can't make this stuff up. No, I'm sure none of this stuff was actually going to work if I hand it to a customer. But it will work when I need it to not work for a stream. Okay. All right, here's one that didn't work before. Okay, this seems to be fairly dead. Good. I like dead. I like board that's dead. Gives us something to work with. And wow, we're still at 0 drop frames from Time Warner. Wow. Crazy. All right, last one. Last time. Because if this works, then I give up. You got to be fucking kidding me. You got to be. Ah, really? Really? Okay, so this charger is magical. Wow. Seriously, none of these boards work with any of my regular chargers, but they all draw 0.4 amps at 18.5 volts from my HP. Look. Look. They're working. Should you check with a proper MagSafe? Absolutely, you should. But still, this is boring. This is boring. What this usually means is that there's probably some corrosion under the SMC or something. Plus, I kind of sort of ran out of original chargers, so not much to do there. All right, at the end of the list, maybe we should just dig into my pile of stuff that I don't want to work on. Let's dig into my pile of stuff that I've been avoiding. First time watching you, love your channel. Thank you to Aaronus. All right, this guy, surely there's something here. Wow. Can't make this stuff up. I suppose. The boards are trolling. They sure are. I should turn this into a Candy Crush stream. All right, this is just going to be a boring connector stream, I suppose. I give up. What can you do when everything works? This is happy luck. Man, this never happens. This never happens. All right, so no picture on the screen. Boring board. Thank you to Bob Chap. Wonder why this has no picture on the screen. Why do you think this board has no picture on the screen? These boards work when you want to fix them. 0 drop frames when you have banner on. Coincidence? I think not. Everything is trolling you right now, says Game Boy Genius. Yeah, this is bullshit. No, we're going to sabotage this. How about this, Time Warner? Take that. Okay, 6,000 bit? No. 9,000 kilobit per second. We got to sabotage this a little bit. All right, so this is our LCD connector. Wonder why we don't have a picture. I wonder why we don't have a picture. Let's think about that. So, let's wait for the hot air to get hot, and then put a new connector on here. Wow, 0 frames dropped at this bit rate. No way in hell. That's impossible. That is impossible. All right. This is hilarious. Let's try upping the bit rate again. You don't have a picture because all the electrons are halting because of the red stoplight. That's probably it, Paul. So, Paul, how are you liking life after being done with open board view and complaining bastards like me? I have a hard drive manufactured in 1993 by Quantum and HP that spins up, but heads don't move, and after a few seconds it turns down. This is something, after something not visibly burns on the board. Do you think we can do something about? Maybe. I wouldn't want to get your hopes up that it's going to be easy, but that's... Like, you see the trouble that I go through here to find chips for stuff that was made, like, just 2 years ago. Half the time, just finding a chip that's 2 years old is a nightmare. So I can only imagine that finding a chip that is, you know, like 24 years old is going to be a bigger nightmare. Yeah, we could try. Definitely would use that Lenovo in a Linux Beowulf cluster project. Hopefully you win. Make sure to leave a comment at the end. Thank you to BassX13. Alright, so let's get this connector off. Some nice hot air. Do you work out? I don't even lift. Some people... There are other people that are a much better example than me in this business. Like Jerry Rig Everything, he lives in a park. I don't even lift. All right. Okay, let's flatten our pads. We're going to add some leaded solder to this, then to make it easier for wicking, and then we're going to wick it away. This is my BCM2 tip. It's one of my favorite tips besides the T15JSO2. It's flat. I added a link to this to all of my videos. It's one of my preferred soldering tips since I forgot to add it originally. Lewis, I find it curious that you dislike soldered in SSDs. What happens if I angle my laptop incorrectly and all my precious data leaks out of my non-existent cooling vents? Oh, Apple. Apple. 143 frames dropped. Hey, here we're going. Maybe some of my boards will stop working while we're at it as well. Wouldn't that be great? Post-OBV life is bliss. I should have done it years ago. Now I can travel. I'll come to New York and disrupt everything at your store with my lovely Aussie accent and stories. That's from Paul Daniels, the creator of Open Board View. Now, we don't want to destroy the pads, but we also need to get rid of some of this oxidation here. And it looks like we did just that. So now it's time for a new connector. Which, have I done my shilling today? I don't think I've done my shilling for today, have I? Yeah, we're going to have to do a little bit more shilling. If you want to get one of these LCD connectors, check out where you can buy it. For the low, low price of $2.49. Where are you going to beat that? And you can buy all types of other components here. You can buy charging circuits, power circuits, backlight circuits, clock circuits, image power circuits, audio circuits, connectors for iPhones, iPads, and MacBooks, all sorted by the model of your device or the number of your board, and easily searchable, like this. Ahem. See? It's beautiful. So let me just grab one of my freshly shilled connectors and replace. Have a drink on me, stay awesome. Thank you to Daryl. Who are you rooting for in tonight's fight? I don't really follow much of it. I don't know. I never followed people beating the crap out of each other for no reason. If there's a reason, I can be invested in it, but... Like, I don't watch a lot of organized sports. I don't know. I just can't get into it, you know? There's not much investment for me. There's really no investment for me. Thank you to Daryl. I mean, really, think about what it is. It's like, I'm going to watch that guy make another $60 million. He knocked him out. He made another $60 million. But I still live with my parents and make $8 an hour. I mean, I don't give a fuck about organized sports. I really don't. I could give a shit less. It's not like I just don't get anything out of it. I mean, you know, have fun, whatever, but I don't really care much. Could never get into it. When I was a kid, like I would like to play football with friends, but I hated watching it. There was something incredibly boring about watching football. I could have fun playing it with other kids in the backyard, but like just sitting there. What do you prefer, repairing PC or Apple? Usually Apple because I can actually get paid for it. Since you have a business line, shouldn't there be a service level agreement that says there should be at least X bandwidth all the time? Yeah, about. And shouldn't puppies and kittens alone in the wild never starve and all have loving owners? I'm liking this tip. May have to scratch away a little bit over here. Thoughts on Martin Shkreli? I like how he got in trouble for defrauding his investors when his investors themselves said, "We do not feel defrauded." I think he gets in a lot of shit for saying things that nobody else... He gets in a lot of shit for being honest. Like, there's one particular moment I remember where he said something along the lines of, and I could be wrong here because I'm remembering something from like 6 months ago while multitasking, but it was something along the lines of like HIV, the people that are buying the HIV meds on average are poor. And then somebody said, I find that comment offensive. And then somebody else linked to statistics that actually show that the people, no, it's true. Like, on average, they are poor. And he says a lot of stuff that you're just not allowed to say or that's going to get you in trouble. But it's not to be mean, a lot of the times. It's just being honest. And he's the only one that's willing to say it. And he gets in a lot of crap for that. I didn't follow his case very closely, but I do. But anytime the media vilifies somebody, it immediately motivates me to look into their story more. So, for example, if the media is being nice to someone and somebody I know says that, oh, screw them, I may actually believe the person saying screw them. But if the media starts to vilify somebody, I immediately start to wonder, why is the media vilifying them? What have they done that's good to make the media hate them so much? And I have wanted to look into a lot of the controversy surrounding him just based on the merit that the media hates him. There's usually a very good reason that the media hates you. I mean, by good, I mean bad and usually baseless. And I also remember him saying, that we've bought companies that were making drugs that stopped making them because they made no money off of it, and they're forced to... And he makes some interesting points on how essentially they're forced to sell drugs to, like, let's say Medicaid or Medicare or whatever at a very, very, very low rate, which makes virtually no money. But then when somebody is not on that, then that's when they charge the full price, and that the hatred wasn't coming from the consumers, it was coming from the insurance companies that are constantly bargaining. There were a lot of sides to that story, and to be honest with you, I'm not fully informed, so I don't really want to comment too much on it, because I hate when people comment on stuff and they're not informed. When it's something I'm informed about, it kind of drives me nuts. But I do have some sympathy for him solely because the media hates him. And that's something that I'm noticing more and more common in modern society, that the more the media vilifies somebody, typically the more correct they are. At least when it comes to mainstream media. The more mainstream media vilifies somebody. Like if Gizmodo tells me I should hate somebody, chances are we'll be friends. If MSNBC tells me somebody is evil, chances are I'd let them pet my kitty, you know? And there's also a part of me that just kind of enjoyed reading his tweets. Yeah, can't lie there. A part of me used to come to work every day, log in, sit down, and right before I went to my pile of liquid damaged crap and voicemails and angry customers and whatever, would just sit there and spend 5 minutes reading Martin's tweets, and I would smile and then be able to start my day. There's that. He was a great source of entertainment. Like with the James Damore thing. Like there's one person in the comments that has no argument here that said, I love self-canceling statements vilifying the media by generally stating them to be vilifying others. Trumpistan and overdrive. Calling something Trumpistan is not really an argument. But I mean, you saw that happen with James Damore, right? So, there were all of these media outlets literally copying and pasting him saying that, women can't do their job because they're women and all this other stuff. And they were literally saying things that he had never said in his memo. And then they were giving you his memo, saying that it was not based in any science or not based in anything real or anything that deserves an argument. But they literally removed the citations, right? So he said, here is my argument against this forced, this forced policy of this, what's the word I'm thinking of? This forced discrimination happening in companies. Here's my argument against forced discrimination. They're saying this is based on nothing after they've removed every single footnote. I mean, how do you trust people like that? Like, if you release a document with footnotes, somebody not only misquotes what you say, they not only misquote what you say, make up half of the stuff that they say that you said, but then remove every single citation. Like, what do you say to that? It's like, you're trying to have no credibility. You're trying to have no credibility. And even when it comes to something like Trump, like I would watch Kyle on Secular Talk bash Trump before I watched like MSNBC or CNN do it. It's just even the negative coverage. I can listen to somebody whose thoughts and ideas are the complete opposite of mine and not want to throw stuff at my screen just because they actually put some effort into producing a coherent argument. Independent media is where it's at. All right, so we got ourselves a connector. Before I, oh crap, I forgot to turn the ultrasonic heater on. Great. All right, I'll read some of your comments before we move on to the next thing. Are the leftmost pins shorted? They absolutely are. And let's see if somebody can tell me why they are. If somebody can tell me why it's okay that those are shorted based on what they see, that would be great for the hint, anybody applying to the entry-level part. There is a bridge. Tell me why the bridge is okay. Look on the screen and tell me why the bridge is okay. Very close to the person who said ground plane. I don't care about fights. I'd rather watch board fixes instead. Me too. They both go to the same plane. Correct. And what do you think that plane is? Why do you think that that plane has 3 pins instead of 1 pin or 2 pin? Exactly. That is the voltage that powers the screen. Good guess. Lewis is controversial. No, I'm not. I haven't even been demonetized yet. We just need all medical research to be publicly funded and made available at cost for the public good. I'm okay with making a profit on just about everything except saving lives and health. Well, the one issue there, enjoy watching your work from a hardware reverse engineer. Thank you. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things that are fucked about the American healthcare system. A ridiculous amount. But I do notice that a lot of the innovation in new treatments and new procedures do seem to come from the U.S. in our current screwed system. Let's... Generalizing is almost always wrong, pretty much by definition, but unfortunately it sounds for some reason compelling. Why? No, it's really. Watch my video on the Google diversity thing. You go through 2 pages of Google search results, and it is literally the same thing over and over and over and over and over. It's like they copied and pasted the same title. It's like they do the job for them. What is your criticism of Kyle from ST? It's just that I'm not a social democrat. I'm the opposite of a social democrat. I watch the channel just because I kind of like listening to a counter-argument. And I like that he at least presents a counter-argument rather than, you know, just copy and paste the same thing everybody else says. Yes, that is all the same trace. And I'm going to get a screen soon and see if that works. Love your channel. Your videos have inspired my channel, but I repair NES consoles and older electronics. I've learned a lot from soldering technique to other info that adds to what I know. Thanks. Okay, I take back everything that I said about it being annoying to find old parts because you are far braver than I am. That's a lot of dumpster diving to find stuff from the 80s. I'm having trouble reballing chips. Any tips? How about do a video of reballing something where you fail, and let me see what you're doing wrong, and then I can tell you what it is you're doing wrong. That's hard to tell, but if you do a video and upload it and message me, I can probably give you some idea. As somebody who sucks reballing myself. All right, so let's see what I get. I forgot to bring the damn test screen back here. Man, I had some really fun boards. I thought there were lots of fun dead stuff. That wasn't just a boring connector. It's all gone. It's all gone. Your SMC reballings are masterful. Paul's just making fun of me because I knocked every pin off of I knocked the SMC over, and every single ball was moved, and then I tapped it again, and all the 96 balls moved back into place. That was a magical moment. I have installed speak-on connectors to my car audio system so I can plug it in and out wherever I want to. Each of my speakers can handle 4 times 30 amps, and I have one for 12 volts. It's flexing my mouse. Yet my 150 amp fuse keeps blowing, but the connectors are holding up fine. Please explain this. I have no explanation. Sorry, I have no idea. I have a blown Realtek audio chip and a 14-inch razor blade. Would you be able to put in a new one if I sent it to you? Define blown. Like, do you mean your audio doesn't work? So you think it's some Realtek audio chip, or do you mean that is what you're saying that it actually looks like it blew up and went on fire? Yeah, you could send it. I don't have donors and stuff for razors or schematics, so I mean, if it's anything else, I may not be the most helpful there. But yeah, why not? I can try. All right, so let's plug this in and see if I get a pictar on my screen. My screen. We'll wait to see if I get my question mark folder in a second. Realtek, Unreal Tech. Huh. No audio and it smells burned. Huh. Yeah, I'll take a look at it. And I don't know how much I'll be able to help you, but I'll take a look at it. Why hasn't consumers sued Apple yet? They have. There have been several class action lawsuits. It led to the Error 53 going away. It led to the 2011 GPU issue being acknowledged. So they do their job every now and then. On rare occasion, consumers of Apple products will actually decide to not stop taking it in the ass and, you know, stand up for themselves and stuff. But a lot don't. So that's that. We got a light on this. Let's move on to something else. That shit. Just dip the alcohol over. Do you have the book on your microscope camera? No, I don't. That's why it keeps tipping over. Huh. Maybe a GPU. Yeah, let's do a GPU. I might as well get some failure in tonight. Everything can't succeed. We're going to use one of those GPUs from that lovely batch where only 50% of them worked. And this also appears to be an Apple refurb board. I wonder if it's going to look as bad as the other Apple refurb boards that I've showed all of you. Because some of these Apple refurb boards look like just complete and utter dog shit. 2011 A1286. What do we have here? All right, so this is what the area under the CPU looks like. Let's just get this in focus. Color calibrated. I think some of your videos are inspiring. Wanting to thank you. Also, what do you do for eye strain for staring at monitors for long periods of time? Eat my carrots. Yeah. I try to use low brightness. What I recently started doing with these monitors, some of the monitors I had were cheap and they were flickering every time I would lower the brightness, so I used software to lower the brightness so that it doesn't flicker. Two 2011 12 MacBook Pros randomly getting lines across the screen, artifacting, out of warranty. If there's a GPU issue, something you can fix. That's a great time for you to ask this question. Let's see. Let's see how this one goes. I'm pretty sure this is not going to work, but yeah, I hate fixing these because half of the GPUs that I get don't work because they come from terrible sources. So this one is not quite as burned as nastily as some of the other ones that I've shown you in terms of rework. This is not nearly as, because I did a video a few months ago entitled, why your 2011 failed again after repair, and I showed the difference between the one side of the board and the other in terms of color. This actually is a fairly clean-looking refurb, which is surprising because most of them don't look very clean at all. They look like complete shit. Oh, that's some nice dust over there. Anybody eating? If you're eating, you should take a look at the screen right now. This is a great time to take a look at the screen. So, yeah, we'll replace a GPU on this and then get out of here. Let's just clean this off a little bit because that's gross. Now, first thing I got to do is get rid of the edge bonding. What is your burrito of choice? Tempeh, mushroom, guacamole, pico de gallo, brown rice. A nice tortilla prepared by a liberal arts student. Okay. The last part is crucial. Okay, let's get rid of this edge bonding here. What number of frames lost can we take a swig off the bottle of vanilla vodka? If I get to 500, I'll take a swig. Really? You haven't been demonetized? I have not been demonetized yet. I honestly didn't really even get hit much by that whole adpocalypse thing either. So Mayweather will earn 300 million. Yeah, I'm just again. I'm not like not to not. I don't want to sound like a socialist or a commie. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a commie. I'm not a Marxist. But I just don't. I don't want to watch somebody else get rich, unless I'm like if I'm watching him box and fight and I'm becoming a better fighter as a result of it, maybe. But that's not the case. I don't care. I don't get any excitement out of watching Kobe Bryant or LeBron James or Mayweather or football player. I don't care. I get nothing out of watching them get rich. There's nothing inside of me that goes, tonight, I want to watch somebody else compete for gobs of money. Just don't care. If I were good at the sport, I would play it myself, but I can't watch it and be entertained by it for no reason. It's far too boring for me if there's no investment. If you think the hardware is absolutely bad but customer wants a repair, do you tell them the hardware is crappy and won't last after the fix? Yes, I do that to every single person that calls me about a 2011 A1286 or A1297. Half of them send it in anyway. But it's probably not going to work. I don't care. But even if it does work, it'll only work for a month. I don't care. Here's my $300. And it's like, please don't send this. But what I've learned is that people don't listen. And I've stopped caring that they don't listen. If I tell you 60 times not to do something and you ask me to do it, then fine. At some point, personal accountability has to come into the mix. Now, the one thing I don't like about the Apple refurb boards is that most of the time the success rate with the regular ones isn't that great when you don't have known good chips, but the success rate with these ones is particularly shitty. Apple's refurb boards they're garbage. I mean, they're just a bunch of garbage. Like serious trash. This was a mail-in. If this was a walk-in, we usually just turn down. If I open it up and I see that there's no serial on this little black bar over here, that means it's an Apple refurb. And when I see that, GTFO. Those are shit. I bet Duke would agree with me on that one. Okay, we're just going to cover the video RAM here. Some tape. A spool. Uh-oh. Something just got deleted. Wonder what it was. And I put a shield over the video RAM. I'm going to try this. After the tape. Another piece of tape. Let's get this GPU out of here. So can you see the machine? No, you can't from that angle. How much can I move this around? How much slack did I give myself on all these cables? Not. Okay, I gave myself no slack on all these cables. Great job, dumbass. Here we go. Unravel this one. You can come by and see my machine. Damn, this office is tiny. Uncomfortably tiny. So, we're going to take my board here, put that up here on my Zalmo, and I'm going to remove this dumpy old chip. Let's see if I can get my other camera on here. So the first thing I have to do is get this thing. The first thing I got to do is make sure that the chip is in the center. So this little blue circle over here is the center of this nozzle. Let me just put the right sized one on here. So once this board is locked in place, that's this. All right, let's do some fine adjusting. My alarm clock is going off. It's time for food. Okay, so now we can look. All right, we can see the balls underneath the GPU right over here. That's better. You can lower this. Hit start. And begin. Oh, didn't go all the way down. Huh. Gotta bring this up a little, support my board. You know what would be smart is making sure I actually have this GPU chip left. Do I still have the slanted ones? 9000s? Oh, that would be funny if I actually don't have the chip. Thank you to Skimpy. Is there a way for me to read what you said? Is the board crooked or is the lens of the camera? The lens of the camera. Yeah, never bothered aligning that. Yeah, we got a bunch of chips. All right. That's good. Okay, we're up to 136 Celsius in the top. I got my little chip sucker upper here. Let's see how well this thing works. This is a piece of shit. I'm going to wind up using tweezers to pick this thing up. You're not supposed to use tweezers. Never use tweezers to pick up a BGA chip like this. That is the wrong thing to do. Ah, here we go. Found my little tool. Top condition. Okay, we're close to where it should be melting. So I might as well make that a large part of the screen. Should also turn on my TV so I can see it. But my Seeky TV takes so long to boot that the chip will be melted already. Go Seeky! Yep, you're ready to go. This is so the wrong thing to do. Never do what I just did. Awful thing to do. Improper. Unprofessional. But I just did it. Alright, just turned off the cooling. Now, it's going to take it a while to cool off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to my advantage and get rid of some of the... Might as well get rid of some of the lead-free solder while I'm here. Pour some flux on there. This way, most of the job is done for me. It's easy to do this when the board is already heated up. Once the board is cold, this is a pain in the ass. So I get as much of it done now as I can. And I toss the solder ball on the floor like a professional adult. Yikes. That was hot. Beep. Now we put some Gootwick. MGTOW all the way. I am not a MGTOW. I am not a MGTOW. I am often misclassified as a MGTOW. An anti-state interference in marriage, but not a MGTOW. Okay. So we're going to suck some balls here. So all my balls are getting sucked. In something that wouldn't happen if I was a MGTOW. So we're going to scroll all the way down here. And again, this is easier to do while the board is still warm, which is, I'm not going to trust that I'm going to get every single one. I know, but it's just a good idea to do this while it's still freshly heated. And of course, we'll go over it with the microscope in a second. Can you add a link to Gootwick in the... I will add a link in the description to Gootwick once this is over. Thank you for reminding me, since I don't have one. It's my favorite brand of wicking. All right, so I'm going to pick this thing up and see what it looks like under a microscope. Just going to clean it off a little bit before we do any further examination. Before we put one of those lovely Senzin chips on here. Has Apple ever offered you a job? No. I actually applied for an Apple Store job in 2007. Long time ago. Fun to see you live for once, and to save you some time, knock is Norwegian kroner. Thank you to Kieser. I'm not going to push too hard while I'm moving the board around. Do you have suggestions like books for learning Mac board repair? I'm hurt. 200 videos that are pre-edited in a playlist for every single problem, and you want to read a book. I'm incredibly offended, and in today's culture, the fact that you offended me is, I'm sure somebody could prosecute that as a crime. That's one of my favorite questions. I love all these educational videos that you've done. Is there a book? Because your educational videos suck. Yeah, because you probably can't learn much from stream, but you can definitely learn something from all the pre-edited ones. I've got quite a few pre-edited ones. I've always seen that as a personal failing, like when somebody says, it's kind of like, your stuff is such shit that I'd rather learn this out of a fucking book with no picture and no video and no real-time element, because that would be better than your presentation. Which is probably accurate. Probably accurate. Oh, this wasn't hot yet. No. No signal. Oh, wrong button. Are those pads gold? Some of them appeared to look gold. I think that's just some of the residue from the goot wick. Hey, you look scraped. I don't remember scraping that. I don't remember scraping. No, because see, that one is scraped in the middle of the pad. That's not wick scraping. That's tweezer scraping. That is tweezer scraping. I recognize tweezer scraping when I see tweezer scraping. And that is tweezer scraping, not wick. Wow. It's awesome to know that the little Chinese guy that refurbishes all these at the factory is doing the same shit I am. On some level. Kind of fun. Ah, gotta love it. Videos motivated me to fix my old Sega Genesis. It works like a charm now, thank you. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Alright. Time to put a small layer of flux here and get ready for a new chip. I'm not going to debate flat Earth on this channel. I've always said that I'm open to whoever was mentioning it in chat. I'm open to just about anything. And going through it, and I'm very anti-censorship, but very anti not discussing ideas, even silly ones or ones I find silly. But I've been over that one already, and I just feel like I'm banging my head against the wall. You know, I'll leave that discussion to people who have more patience than I do. I don't think that the Earth is a flat plane. If you want to have that debate, this is probably the wrong place to do it. Okay, so let's get a nice thin layer of flux around here. I'm going to be watching the fight. Rewind a little bit. If I wanted to watch other people get rich, I would just go to Jess's store. I don't have to turn on my TV for that. Got a nice thin layer of flux here. Get it around every pad, not too much because it'll run away. I'd even begin to align all these pads. So that's the fun part that you're going to see up in a moment. What are your thoughts on Eli the computer guy quitting YouTube? I don't know. I guess it's the next logical step for him. You know, I mean, he's kind of finished his journey here. Got across all the knowledge that he could hope to get across. Not, you know. At some point, you're going to notice that a lot of this stuff just ain't that fun anymore. Hey, look, my Time Warner Frames dropped counter is now a Tennessee area code. I think that's Johnson City. That's pretty cool. I have a Johnson City area code as my drop frames counter. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, one of the reasons I've never wanted to do this as a job is because stuff starts to get to you that I don't think would usually get to you. Like, you know, I do my stream for an hour or 2 hours or sometimes 20 minutes in a day, and then I'm done with what I was doing. Eli was doing YouTube as a living, like as his full-time job, which meant that you read the comments differently if you're doing this as a living. You read into everything people say more when this is your job, and I don't want this to be my job because I don't want to read these comments and know that in some way, shape, or form my living is coming from all the mean crap in there. You know, you just take things a little bit more personally. Like when he says, you know, I felt I was giving advice to the IT people that just needed to know how to use a phone system, but in reality it was a bunch of people arguing with me that A+ is valuable. That's the other thing. You kind of get, after some point, it kind of gets old to be the bad guy. It gets annoying to be the bad guy when you're trying to be the good guy, I suppose. So I get where he's coming from in wanting to quit YouTube, and I can't particularly say that I blame him much. Especially if you realize that the thing that you were doing as a career now makes you less money because of YouTube caring more about, you know, like sharing Jake, Paul, whatever, rather than Active Directory. All right. So now I got to align this. So the blue balls, the blue balls are the chip, and the brown balls are the board. We're going to try to get this all perfectly aligned. So make sure that my blue balls align with my orange balls, and this BS won't let me pay using my other account. Well, I appreciate that, Alexander. Thank you. He's still going to be on the web on a pay-view basis. That way trolls stop wasting his time. Good business plan. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's an element where people treat things differently when they're paying for it. If something costs money, that's one of the reasons one of the big reasons I like the forum remain a paid forum. Because, I mean, on my forum, there's not a lot of crap. There's not a lot of, you know, of childish shit because it's $29 a month. You know, the way I kind of saw it is if you're doing this as a profession and you're getting dozens and dozens and dozens of boards to fix, making thousands and thousands of dollars, $29 a month probably is fine. It's acceptable. Shit, I would have paid $60 a month when learning this. I would have paid $200 a month when I was learning this. So, but it's a very stark contrast to, let's say, YouTube comments. And that stark contrast comes from the fact that people who are spending money on something tend to treat it a little differently. I don't know how financially viable his model is going to be. I wish him the best with it. I really do. You know, we had our differences on the whole white privilege video. We definitely had Eli and I definitely had big differences on the whole white privilege video and the whole concept of white privilege and white guilt and all that stuff. I always try to push back on narratives that encourage either victimhood or blind disdain for one's own group. But we definitely had differences over that video. But I wish him the best. I really do. I think his heart is in the right place with everything that he's doing. Yeah, okay. I fucked up my alignment by applying the layer of flux to the clean room wiper. So let's do that again. Like, there are so many times where somebody would say, Lois, you have to see what Eli said in this video. He's such a fucking asshole. And then I would watch the video and go, oh, yeah, yep, I hear what he said. I agree. I can't tell you how many times that's happened in my live chat. This guy is a douchebag. You have to listen to what he said. And they link me and I go, yeah, I did the same thing to my employees. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's totally correct. Why am I OCDing the flux application so much here? No pubes under my chip. Yeah, if he needs a break from it, then by all means, take the break from it. Great channel. It would be cool if you did some other brands on video. MacBook's not that popular outside US. The problem with doing other brands is I find that consumers, regardless of the model they have the same idea. Like, most of the people that walk into the store, they want something to be done literally while they wait. I would say 80% of the people that walk in expect this all while they wait. There's like no concept of the fact that there's a line of other people behind them, or that this work is highly specialized, difficult, open-ended. In order to do that, you kind of have to get used to specific problems on specific devices, and you also have to have stock for everything, which you don't have which is impossible to have for like 50 different brands. I can do that for one brand that releases a new design every 2 years. That's easy. But to do that for, 500 different model lines that are changing every 6 months, not happening. But replacing the CPU on a MacBook with a better one, break it. Probably not, but there's a really good chance that the CPU that you buy off of AliExpress is no good. So then you're replacing your working slow CPU with a new dead CPU. Then there's also the chance that BGA rework doesn't work. So that's not something that I would particularly fuck with. I try to stay away from anything where I'm taking something that works and have an opportunity to turn it into something that doesn't work, where the financial reward is not so great so as to allow me to not care about that chance. Okay, that looks... did I align it right? Kind of wonder. I don't know if I aligned it properly. By the way, that's not the machine shaking, that's the camera shaking since it's on top of an unsteady mic stand. Was that aligned properly? This drives me nuts. I'm not good with aligning things properly. So that was actually aligned properly. I took it off for no reason. All right. Promise that we're ending the OCD. Just going to put this shit down and hit start. Down, start, fucking go, and be done. Let's read some of your comments while we're waiting for that to heat up. I haven't heard the term smooth brains in a long-ass time. It's been a while. It has been a while. I gotta ask that. What do you think about net neutrality? I think net neutrality is one of those things where I would typically be against it if there were actual competitors, but due to the government-sponsored monopolies on the entire telecom industry in the 30s, we don't really have a lot of that. So as much as I'd like to go back to the 30s and strangle a lot of the people in government that actually bought this line of, we're not going to wire places unless you give us a regional monopoly, like, I would have just said, okay, fuck you, and just allowed there to be an extra year with no phone service until other people realized there's billions of dollars in it and wired people's houses. It really says a lot that in like the financial capital of the world, that there's like one choice for business internet. It's sad. It's so sad. Hi, Jessa. This is the part where I pretend that I didn't notice Jessa was there. Because if she knows that I noticed that she was there, then she'll know that I'm trolling her with my pad handling. But I didn't notice she was here. So it's just fine. I need a better screwdriver set. Any suggestions? I would say Wera. Wera makes some good stuff. My iPhone 7 screen scratched. Can you fix it? No, I can't. So the first thing is I've never had somebody in 8 years actually agree to pay the price for an iPhone screen repair when it was just scratched rather than broken. But even if you were, I can't get that screen for a reasonable price, so I would just suggest go to Apple. I know. It's not, that's like a dirty word. It's not something you're supposed to say. But I don't have affordable screens for that. So I would suggest Apple. Thank you to Kevin Jack and Alexander Mervis. Let's see, how aligned are you? Am I going to have to tap you in a place, or? Oh, that's lame. So it was aligned both 2 times I put it down, and it looks like I'm going to have to tap it into place. That's weak. Looks like it could use a tap. What is that bright thing on camera? That's my light. See? With no light, don't see anything. Okay, it melted into place at the low temperature of 200 something. That's not lead free. That's not a new chip. Yay! Alright, so it's been melted for a good 10 seconds now, so I can hit stop. Manual cooling. That's great when you get to realize that your chip was not lead free. That's bullshit. Okay, we're going to wait for it a little bit. So the reason that I don't like when the chip is not lead-free is that means it was leaded. These only come from the factory lead-free, which is how you know that the chip that you put on was not new, if it melted at a leaded temperature. That's the ultimate way to tell that the GPU that you just put on the board is not new. And that sucks. Thank you to Asheras in a Box for the kind comment. Pay attention, Lewis. It's done. I'm waiting for it to cool off now. You saw it melt into place, right? Not like Linus again. Yeah. That was fun. Come on. Now we just have to wait for it to cool off. I put this here to start a little bit closer just so it would start sucking the cool air closer to the chip. And to get some circulation going. I'm not going to take the board off while it's hot. That's silly. I'm asking for something to break. We talked about merchant services before. Want to see my commercial? Merchant services? You're walking a fine line there. I appreciate your $5, but I hate watching commercials. This is... And I'm also in the middle of talking to 500 people. So it might not be the best time to watch a commercial. You don't need to stock up hundreds of models, parts. The same for all brands. Same schematic may apply to 3 different major brands. That's good to know. Wow, I dropped 500 frames during that BGA rework. That is a lot of frames. Yeah, board is still hot. Well, there's no need to just sit there and watch that, so I guess I could put the camera back where it belongs now. In this corner, pointing at my chair. What's the significance of being leaded versus non-leaded? In other words, why does it suck, as you commented? Excuse the ignorant question. It's a fine question, not ignorant at all. So these chips come from the factory with lead-free balls. So if I get a chip with lead-free solder, there is at least a chance that the chip that I purchased was actually new. Now, if these chips never come from the factory with leaded solder, so if I get a chip with leaded solder, that is a guarantee that I'm getting a chip that was reballed, which typically means used, which typically means that it is one of the chips that's not going to work, and that I just wasted 45 minutes of my time. Not always the case, but just since there is a 0% chance of a chip actually coming from AMD with leaded balls, it means that I probably got some used shit that somebody took off of another board, which makes it a waste of time. This is water. Water. What do you people think of me? Just water. Clean board with Pinnacle. No. Use your super crappy IR thermometer. I actually can't find that thing. I don't know where I put it. It's gone. Doesn't your machine have real-time temperature monitoring that you have to touch the board to see the temperature? I do. It has, but the temperature probe was in my garbage pail instead of on top of the board. Oh. What do you think about knowledge-based voting? Can you tell me a little bit more about your idea? Are you talking about the idea that every vote should not be equal and that it should be based on... Tell me what your idea is there. Because I don't know what you're going at. Does the reduction of lead in solder really contribute to the SMC balls becoming brittle? No, not really. The idea that all of these electronics are dying because of this evil lead-free solder, like there is some times where lead-free solder really sucks, but a lot of the times it's not the lead-free solder. The lead-free solder is the scapegoat. The real problem is that the manufacturers are making devices. There's this dick-waving contest, like this race to making the thinnest, highest performing product. So the thinnest, highest performing product is by nature going to be terribly cooled and is going to have a lot of issues with heat. And that race began a while back, where like people bought all of their products based on 3D Mark scores and not anything else. Have some free money. Thank you to Matt Wickstrom. And because of that race, you get all these products that are super thin and super powerful. And also, in Apple's case, it's not enough to be super thin and super powerful. It's also got to be super thin, super powerful, and super quiet. And, like, that sucks. That really sucks. You can't make something super thin, super powerful, and super quiet without it being, within 1 to 2 years, super dead. Which is what a lot of these products are, which is why I bought this machine. Should say a little prayer to the BGA god before putting this back together. I think people should be qualified, licensed to vote based on IQ, inner workings of government, current and proposed policies. Ooh, that is a good one. So there is this one quote, and I forget who said it, but it was something along the lines of, democracy is always going to fall apart once people figure out that they can vote away the public treasury into their own pocket. I forget who I'm paraphrasing there. If somebody could give me an idea, that would be awesome. But I have heard that argument created before, that essentially if, yeah. And there are a bunch of arguments in that, and there are a bunch of arguments for that. So there's the argument that there's the old argument that you used to have to own property to be able to vote. I always thought that was kind of bullshit, especially for places like New York, where owning a property means, you know, like if I want to own a property in this area, I need $1.8 million. Like there was that idea that you would be invested in society. You know, you would kind of have some level of investment. You wouldn't just vote for the person that gave you the most free shit if you own property. I get the idea behind it, but then there's also the people that, what about the people that own a bunch of property, but that also lobby a bunch of politicians to get whatever the fuck they want and avoid going to jail for doing illegal things? So that's kind of a slippery slope. There's interesting arguments on both sides of that. It definitely would be interesting to keep, I don't know. It's like, on one hand, it sounds really wrong to say that not all people should vote, but on the other hand, there are a lot of people that you meet, and you hear what they have to say, not what they have to say, but you hear how they voice their opinions, and you think to yourself, how the fuck is this person allowed to vote? So, for example, remember the other night? Remember the guy that brought over the liquor moot? Remember him? We disagree on, I think, every single political issue known to man, but we both do our research on issues, we both want general prosperity, and I like to think that we're both able to like read and create arguments based on reason and facts and whatnot instead of just screeching at each other. So I don't care that he disagrees with everything that I say. I like that we're able to have a reasonable discussion. But then you have a lot of people that cannot have reasonable discussion, that cannot think, that don't even try to think. And then it's like, it would be great if you would just stop voting. But then how do you test that? How do you figure out if people have the ability to think? How do you enforce that? Which is really odd. I mean, right now we live in a country where just asking people to show their ID when they vote is apparently racist. It's suppression. Somebody should tell that to T-Mobile, because when I had lost my ID and I was using H2O for my cell phone, and it sucks. It's like you get this 3 or 5 gigabyte cap a month before you wind up at edge speeds or 3G speeds or something that's totally fucking useless for browsing the internet. And the reason that I had not gotten T-Mobile is because I knew that I would have to go to the DMV to get my ID, and it was a pain in the ass. But I eventually said, you know what, I would like to get I'd like to have a real phone plan, so at the end of the week, I got up off my ass and said, let me just fucking go to the DMV and get my ID and wait in the shitty line so I can get real phone service. And then I got real phone service. And it's interesting, like, people think that there should be a lower barrier for getting phone service than there is for voting. And what's really interesting is in New York City, at least, if a police officer asks you for your identification outside, like if I'm just walking around at 3 in the morning and I look weird or suspicious or drunk and they ask me for my ID and I can't provide it, in some way I'm technically breaking the law. Yet it is considered suppression to tell people, show your ID, show that you are who you say you are, so that we know that you are who you say you are before you vote, and that's considered odd. So I've always found that dichotomy interesting, that it's literally illegal in certain parts of America to walk around without your ID, but people do not like laws that require you to have an ID in the voting booth. So if the law requires that you have your ID on you when you're walking around, if you need to have your ID on you while you're walking around, but you don't need your ID to vote, then how are you legally getting from your house to the voting booth? It's one of those things one of those little things that I've always had wondered about in my head when there's nothing else to wonder about. It's not like, don't get me wrong, you're not going to go to prison for not having your ID unless you're doing something really wrong. It's not something that's like, it's like crossing the street in a red light in Manhattan. Like, no cop in their right mind is actually going to write you a ticket for that. Well, my uncle actually wrote somebody a ticket for that in the 80s, and he got in trouble for discriminating against someone because the whole idea was nobody has gotten a ticket for jaywalking in New York City in years. So why did you target me? And then his supervisor or whatever told him, don't write people tickets for jaywalking. That was funny. But yeah, I mean, if we have a society right now where people will make the argument that just being asked to show your ID before you vote is bad. How the hell are you going to jump ahead to a society where you should be able to think before you vote? Like, crazy times we live in, crazy times. This coming from somebody who really hates waiting in line at the DMV. I would rather do graphics chips all day with chips from AliExpress than go to the DMV. I hate the DMV. I hate the DMV. All right, so let's see if this lovely Apple refurb board actually works. With my refurb board, with my AliExpress chips from my pile that I charge back successfully. Let's see. Here, somebody found the quote. A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover that they can vote themselves large as the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for the candidates promising the most benefits from the public treasury, with the result that a democracy always collapses over loose fiscal policy, followed by a dictatorship. The average age of the world's greatest civilizations has been 200 years. Alexander Fraser Tyler. See, that's what I was going for. You said swig at 500 frames. We're at 938. Fine. 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 That's what I was looking for. And that kind of makes sense. Like, there's this... I know somebody who came here from Czechoslovakia back when it was a socialist hellhole. And her theory is that society is at this constant pendulum where people really want freedom, and they want freedom, and it's like, we finally have freedom. Oh shit. Personal accountability, personal responsibility, equality of opportunity. Ah, I want equality of outcome. I want everything. I don't, rescue me from my bad decisions. And then you get dictatorship. And then people want freedom. Oh shit, responsibility, dictatorship. Oh shit, I'm oppressed. Freedom. Oh shit, response. It's like this constant pendulum that goes over time. And her theory is that we're currently in the downswing from freedom back towards dictatorship. Fuck my bank balance. You incarnate the internet mentality. You freely share knowledge and can only greet and tip the gesture as a software guide admire your work. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. That's very nice of you. Let's see if this actually works. That's fine. I vote in the UK, not asked for ID. Yeah, try getting a business license. You know how much shit you need to show ID for? So much shit that you need an ID for, but no, not for voting. All right. Are you dead or do you work? Please, BGA God, please. Woo. Okay, we have a white screen. We have an Apple. Let's see if it boots into an operating system. All right, so we're not worse than we started. We're not worse off than when we started. I'll take that. I'm curious, how are you in social setting? It depends on the social setting. Is it people that I want to be around, or is it people that I don't want to be around? There's a big difference. Isn't jaywalking illegal? Yeah, it's illegal, the same way that throwing your cigarettes in the sidewalk is illegal. You're never going to see somebody get in trouble in New York for polluting by throwing their cigarette in the sidewalk. It won't happen. You could do it right in front of a cop. You could do it at their feet. You won't get in trouble for it. There's illegal, and then there's illegal. You know? The thing with things being illegal is it's only illegal if you can get in trouble. If you can't get in trouble for doing something wrong, then it's not actually illegal. And holy shit, we have booted into an operating system. Look at that. That actually worked. Okay, I'm debating doing another graphics chip. I feel like I have a hot streak going here. This actually worked. I wasn't expecting that. Wow. Holy crap. Okay. Should I do another GPU or should I get out of here? I'll read some of your chat and then maybe I'll do another GPU. Excuse me. Why aren't you married? I am not married because I have not met somebody worth marrying. And I also don't like the whole concept of the woman being able to cut your balls off through the state. But mostly the first part. Do another one. Okay, fine. We'll do another GPU. What are you giving away today? Today's giveaway is this Lenovo. And if you leave a comment on the video on YouTube saying why it is I should send you this lovely mini PC, I will enter you in for a chance to win it. And there's a link below for it. You can see what it looks like. Another swig at 1,000. We'll do another swig at 1,000 drop frames. A GPU that actually worked. Game Boy Genius says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. Pendulum. That's actually a really good saying. Can I steal that from you? I'm going to steal that from you. That would actually explain the pendulum. Can I quote Game Boy Genius with that? Or Game Boy Genius, so I know. Did you steal that quote from somebody? So I don't wind up getting in trouble if I use it. It's a common saying. You can steal it. It's not my quote. Steal it. Why is there Teflon tape on your mic? Because the wire is screwed up, and this microphone costs $600, and I don't want to buy another one. So, taped. All right. Gonna enter some notes for this, and then... Bye, everyone. Back to playing Battlefield 4. See you later, and thank you. Okay. Lewis loves fans coming to his store. There's only one fan that I would like having come here, and it's not you. Actually, I would say two. There's two. And they know who they are. Let's see. What comes next? Another graphics chip, I suppose. I gotta get these all out of here while I'm on a hot streak. Let's see if we can get 2 in a row. Wouldn't it be great if we can get 2 in a row? I need another magnet. Here, magnets. Here, magnets. Oh, I can't steal Jason's magnets. He found a better place to hide them. That bastard. What happened to the bathroom door? It's open. Who is Jessa? Who knows? Who is Jessa? Who is Jessa, really? Can I mail my MacBook from Australia if I pay shipping? You can, but a much better local option for you would be Paul Daniels. He's a moderator in the chat. He created the Open Board View program that I use. He'll probably charge you less money because he doesn't live in a city where a shitty studio apartment is $3,000, and he's local to Australia and is way smarter than I am. So if you're in Australia, check out pldaniels.com and send your stuff to him instead of to me. Who is saying my t-shirt looks like Illuminati triangle in Twitch chat? You crazy bastards. Yay, another refurb board. You can tell it's refurb because it's missing, it doesn't have a serial number. Oh, joy. Oh, joy. Oh, what a piece of shit. All right. I guess these are all going to have been refurbished by Apple at least once at this point. Can't expect anything different. Only 976 frames. You know what I'm doing now? I'm trying to guess the area code of the drop frames counter as long as it's 3 digits. I got the Tennessee one correct. Now this one is going to use a different chip. The other one used a 9000 chip. This is going to use a 0005 chip. So this one may not work. I have much worse luck with the 0005 chips. Who do you recommend for MacBook repairs in Germany? Angela Merkel. I'm sure she can fix your MacBook. Why, thank you, T-Rose. That's very nice of you. You sell phone chargers in the lobby? No, I don't. I actually stopped selling chargers a long time ago. I used to sell these StarTech ones that came with a 1-year warranty against accidental damage. So you could actually break their charger and they would still replace it. I was selling them for $15 and people were losing their fucking minds. These are really durable cables. They're far better than the Apple OEM cable. Way better. But people would lose their shit. And they're like, oh, the guy next door sells it for $5. So instead of having to go through why my charger is good, since 90% of my customers did not want to pay for them, I just stopped selling them. And when the cheap $5 charger kills your phone, I'll charge you $400 to recover your data. How about that? How about that? So yeah, I don't sell chargers. Selling chargers is just miserable. I tried. The funny thing is, I bought those things for like $13.50 and I was selling them for $15. After shipping, I made nothing selling that stuff. It was just to have in the front of the store. But, yeah, fuck that. Now, I could sell the cheap shit, but I don't want to sell stuff that's going to break people's phones. I don't want to sell the original Apple one either, because those lightning cables, those are awful. Like, they break if you look at them the wrong way. They're just terrible. Terribly made cables. Terribly made cables. StarTech makes some good stuff. Who is Jessa, someone says. I don't know who Jessa is. Thank you to Daryl. I think Angela Merkel is busy fixing the mess she created now. No. I'm sure there's way more people in Germany that can fix MacBooks now as a result of Angela Merkel. Way more people. Way more people. Buddy sent in his MacBook with liquid damage. It boots, runs for 5 minutes, shuts off, then won't boot for a while. May have been a fan spin earlier. You have random corrosion somewhere. You have random corrosion somewhere. That's actually the shittiest problem to solve. I work at a cell phone repair shop. We just got board repair equipment. Any advice for a beginner? My advice for a beginner would be figure out as much stuff as you can during off hours when you're not under pressure. There's something about when the sun is down and the lights are off and you don't have the phone ringing and you don't have people showing up that makes all of this a lot easier. So I would suggest, thank you to Daryl, I would suggest that you spend as much time as you can off hours figuring out how all this stuff works, because that's the best time to learn. Like a lot of Jess's learning occurred, and I think she would agree with this, at 3 in the morning. A lot of my learning occurred at 3 in the morning. There's something about 3 in the morning when you're done, you've finished every chore for the day, and you're relaxed, and you feel like you're the only one awake. That just makes learning a lot easier. At least for me. I'm not sure how it would be for you. So spend time, compare, contrast, analyze, notice differences, and make sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself to succeed. I would also suggest that, the computer's chair is more expensive than mine. It's getting the air-on chair. I would suggest that you set yourself up with really small, tiny, easily achievable goals at the first. So when you replace your first backlight filter, you're going to celebrate that you replaced that backlight filter. Even though it's easy, even though almost anybody can replace a backlight filter, you're going to tell yourself, I fucking did it. You're going to be happy even if you put that backlight filter on and solder it on right and you still don't have a backlight, just for the fact that you replaced it. You have to take each small step, each small thing that you do successfully, and be excited about it. And have a little party in your mind over it so that you don't get discouraged. Because the worst thing in this business is losing your confidence. Because most of what we do is figuring out how stuff works that nobody else wants to explain to us. We go through undocumented circuits a lot of the time and confusing stuff that nobody really wants to explain to us. We have to deal with schematics that fell off the back of a truck. We have to deal with parts that came from God knows where. It's very discouraging. So you don't want to lose your confidence. So the most important thing in the world here is to make sure you keep your confidence. And the best way to keep your confidence is to consider each small piece of progress an amazing success. Even if it's something that everybody else is going to say is basic, that's easy, anybody can do that, fuck all of them. Every single time that you succeed, be excited. Celebrate it. Like when I first took a backlight fuse off, I was excited. Not even putting it back on, not even fixing the board, just taking the fuse off without removing everything around it. I was excited. I said, holy crap, I did something awesome. And I smiled, and I was excited, and I was happy. And I have that same mindset today. The same thing goes for anything else, like in e-commerce. Pat yourself on the back over that first sale, even if that first sale was only $5 and no profit. That's what I did when putting a backlight filter on an iPhone 6. That was my first microscope job. I'm glad that you have a microscope, Paul Daniels. There are far too many dumb people that have microscopes and too few smart people with them. Why do all terror attacks happen in Europe but not the USA per se? Someone asks. Why do you use saying Europe? Do you see terror attacks in Slovenia? Poland? Hungary? Don't group all of Europe into terrorist attacks there. You wouldn't remove edge bonding on ThinkPad boards that easy. Oh yeah, the red stuff. I hate the red stuff. That stuff is cancer. That stuff is awful. It smells so bad. The fume extractor doesn't do anything. All right. Now, time to shield up the RAM. I hate my life, can you fix it? No, I don't think I'm qualified to do that. I did want to be a therapist in college, but I do this instead. What happens when you try to remove GPU with hot air? Well, that's what the Zalmo is here. The Zalmo is hot air. It's brown stuff and it's all under the chip and it literally burns your eyes when you heat it to 240 degrees. Yep. Very glad I'm not working on Lenovo. After 14 years in IT, one of my inspirations to start a master's in electronics engineering. Keep up the good work. Hope you inspire others. Thank you to Rob G. I really appreciate it. Very nice. Where's my metal shield? Hello, metal shield. Ah! Go. There we go. So I cover the VRAM with Captain tape, then a metal shield from an iPhone, and then Captain tape again. All right. So we got my board. Let's put on the other microscope. And get started. Come on. Turn on television. I need to get a second camera. Now, if I could put my camera on a battery, that would actually make this a lot easier. Do I have a battery in here? Let's see if this is charged. All right, this should give me a bit more room to work with. Yeah, this battery is 100%. Great. Okay, so we got my GPU balls visible. Now my chip, it's got to be aligned. So tie this in. Get it right in the middle. Let's see if we can have luck with 2 GPU replacements in one night. Now this is using a different chip. This is using the 0084. And I haven't had great luck with replacing those. You can replace them with a 0001. I wouldn't exactly... I don't know if the chips that I got are actually good. I'm going to be trying out a new batch of 0001s here. And I'm going to hope that they're good. So let's start this process off. And wait for the balls to start melting. So... let you watch that. $50 I'll read some of your comments while we wait. That machine looks far too expensive. Tell me about it. If it works, you may want to get a lottery ticket on the way home. I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. I got to make sure that my shilling is showing up there. RossmanGroup.com/boards. We've got tutoring. We've got advice. We've got chips for sale, tools for sale, all sorts of good stuff. What is the tip you clean the board with the wick after you take the GPU off? That's actually a really good question. Let's see if I have... T15 1403. I'll put that in the description. T15 1403. I have to add that to my descriptions. T15-1403. At 129 Celsius. Holy crap, I know why I put off getting that tip. It's $82. $82. Jesus. Seriously? $82 for a soldering tip? That's a lot of money. All right, we're just about ready to take that GPU off the board. Not fully melted yet. Should be just about melted now. Shit. Forgot about the whole iron and the blood thing. Manual cooling. All right. And where'd I put my large solder? Here we go. So the first thing to do is to get rid of all of that lead-free junk. Beautiful. This is why I have a fume extractor, by the way. You see all that junk that's shooting up? I would be inhaling that. Solder goes on the floor where it belongs. I'm not using way too much flux. What are you talking about? Okay, now we're going to wick. Get some wicking done here. Hope Jess is still watching. Gootwick link. I'm going to put that in the video right after this is done. So that, I need that, and I need a link to this soldering iron tip. Thank you for reminding me. Too much, yeah, pugh. Gross. Okay, what the... Where do we start? Let's make this nice and flat. Thank you to CGST. Okay, now we gotta clean this mess. So much cleaning. Gross. I actually had an easy repair today. No backlight air, fixed with a new LP8550 and a wire to the feedback trace. Imagine that. I can't remember the last time I got something like that. I've gotten that after somebody ripped 6 pads underneath the LP8550 and then sent it here. They tricked me. They like they put a new chip on, and then they ultrasonic it so it would look like they didn't do anything. Yep, that's some $40 return postage for that store. Not screwing with that. GTFO. Okay. Bam. Squeaky clean, indeed. This is some 99% alcohol and an ESD safe paper towel. Now I should probably touch up those 2 resistors over there. I think I moved them. Doesn't look like I moved anything else. You know, I had somebody that used to always mess up that stuff and demands that I resolder the resistors after they replace the chip. That was no fun. This is totally doable by oneself. Anyway, that's gonna get flown into place by the Zalmao, so I don't have no big deal on the alignment of it. I'll just add a little bit of flux over there. It's making fine contact. Zalmao will flow that in. Maybe one pin there that could use a little bit of more wicking. After this, we'll go try a GPU from eBay. eBay. Ugh. Cleaning is fun. Repeal everything. Will do. My flux never expires, for those who asked. It's immortal. All right. Just grab a clean room wiper, add some flux, and pop on a new chip. How's Oreo? Oreo's doing well. Integrating well. Good kitty. Thank you to Spectre. Oh, duh. Almost forgot. I took my shield off. I like having a shield over the VRAM. I don't want to use methyl ethyl ketone because of the smell. It is effective at this for the person who mentioned it, but the smell, the friggin' smell, no. Mech, no. Even if you have a fume extractor, that's no. No mech for me. Okay, let's clean all the fibers off there. Add myself a layer of flux. And let's see if we're filing a chargeback or not. I won my last GPU chargeback. It was difficult. It took a lot of work, but it was totally worth it to not get fucked out of $1,000. It's one thing if 1 or 2 chips are bad. It's another when almost all of them are bad, and the vendor is like, "Oh no, they were good. We test them." The fuck you tested them? Bullshit. How are you testing BGA chips? Just lying scum. Let's get the chip on there. Let's align you. Let's install this GPU. If I really wanted to get rich off of YouTube, like if I had a brain, instead of doing this, I would just take GPUs and put water blocks on them. Like if I were smart, that's what I'd be doing. There's no aligning balls. Just measuring temperatures. Easy breezy. Beautiful cover girl. Alright, so the whole idea here is to align everything. So, see? The blue balls are the GPU and the brown balls are the board. The brown parts are the pads on the board. And I need this to be aligned. That's zoomed out. I zoom out so that I could see the corners. Sometimes the inside is aligned, but the outside isn't. And sometimes if the machine is not steady or the board is not, let's say the board is not being propped up properly, you'll get to this fucked up state where it's never aligned properly, and that's incredibly annoying. We're like, this side is aligned and that isn't, and then when you align that side, that isn't, and it's just, ugh. So this looks good. I'm just going to zoom in all the way, right on the center. You can only zoom in on the center. You can't really move you can't move the camera, which is a bummer, but what are you going to do? It's like, anyway, so that looks pretty aligned to me. I'd say this graphics chip is good. And we lower it. Now, what do you guys want to guess? That this is either leaded or lead-free? What, if you had a guess, what do you think this GPU is going to be? What temperature are we going to melt at? This graphics chip came from eBay. eBay! An eBay seller in China. What do you think we're going to get? Leaded? Lead-free? Good graphics chip? Shit graphics chip? What do you think? I'm curious to hear your guess, your wager. So that's it. Yeah, it's off to the races now. Time to melt. Why care? It either works or it doesn't. Because the leaded ones usually don't work. Because the leaded ones usually don't work. Let's see which stepping this chip is out of curiosity. So this is 10. This is from this batch. Hopefully good. For having added Oreo to your clan, thank you. You know what I liked about Oreo, Paul, is that it looked a lot like your cat. Oreo looked a lot like your kitty. I love your videos in general. The business ones are an excellent guide to the next generation, especially the one with Mr. Carvin. Also, what do you think about the maker movement? I like the maker movement for getting people involved in productive stuff at a young age. So there's a big problem with education nowadays where you learn all of this stuff that's just not necessary. I mean, you're forced to memorize the differences between the Hopi and the Navajo Indians, and you're forced to memorize a lot of stuff that, you know, it's information and people should have access to it. And, you know, you're forced to memorize a lot of this crap that just really has no economic value. And the thing I like about the maker movement is that it's encouraging kids at a young age to not hate learning and to actually learn stuff that has economic value. Because the thing I remember about school is everybody hated it. And the worst memory I had of how bad the public school experience was in New York is when one of these kids was said, "I can't wait to graduate next year. I can't wait to be done with learning." Public school is so bad that it makes kids hate learning. But then you see kids getting involved with Arduino boards and learning all these new things and programming cool little objects, and they love learning. So the maker movement is awesome because it gets kids to not hate learning, to actually see that, what they learned and what they produced has a fucking value, means something, will be used for something, has a purpose in society. It's great. So let's see if this works. I hope this works. It better work. Get off my screen. All right. I'm running out of space to put stuff here. Shit, 215 Celsius. Are we melted? No, not yet. Come on, little chip. Melt. Melt. There we go. Popped into place right at 245. Let's give it about 10 seconds. Make sure that the center balls melt. Doesn't matter if the outer balls melt, if the inner balls did not. Looks like there's enough flux under there for a quality reflow. Stop it, cool it off. That looks good. Now you get to watch the balls melt. And not the balls melt, the balls solidify. They're going to harden. That's my favorite part of the day, is watching my balls harden. Right here. This is the fun part. Bam. Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. That was amazing. I hated school and the draconian methodology. I still love learning, says Chuck. Yeah, I agree. School was terrible. Public school was awful. Luckily over. Nitrocaster made this really awesome Time Warner cable sponsorship. I love that thing. All right, so we're going to wait a little bit. Make sure it cools off before trying it out. But that's a pretty GPU now, isn't it? Those are some pretty balls. Nitrocaster made the coolest thing in the world. Look at this. This is awesome. I love this thing. Look at that drop frames counter. He even made the artwork for it. Is that not an amazing guy? That's an amazing guy, I'd say. I looked at it too. I looked through the code. That was a lot of code. There was pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. Nitrocast is a really nice guy for making that. That's a lot of code just for this little counter. Must have taken some time. Don't think I don't appreciate it either, especially as my frames are dropping as we speak. We should be dry soon enough. Just gotta wait for our balls to cool and dry off. This is the boring part. I'm told school is not about market value learning, but higher level expand your mind. Practical learning is expected at work, taught by employer. I also find students good at practical hands-on work or look down on as not elite enough by academics. Yeah, that whole expand your mind thing, you can also expand your mind by learning things that are not memorizing dates. You're not expanding your mind by memorizing dates. You're not expanding your mind by learning things that have no relevance. That's teaching people to hate learning. And I've always thought that was a cop-out by teachers that just had nothing to actually teach, nothing that was really interesting or valuable. And you know, they'd always say, when you grow up, you'll understand when you grow up that it was really important that you learn the difference between the Hopi and the Navajo Indians. Like, that was the most important thing in the world. You shouldn't learn about, American history. You shouldn't learn about how to do your taxes. Who cares about, the difference between communism and socialism and capitalism? Who cares about, learning about our banking system and the Federal Reserve? Who cares about learning anything important? Let's spend 3 years learning about the differences between tribes that existed 4,000, 2,000, 1,500 years ago. Yep. You know what the ultimate kick in the balls to our entire education system was? Is that U.S. history was 1 fucking year. So in 11th grade, we got to take U.S. history rather than social studies. So the entire 10 years that we were in school, we were learning all of this stuff that happened 1,500, 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. But we spent 1 year doing U.S. history, and we never got up to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We never got to it. It was incomplete. It was just so hilarious. It's such a joke. You did all of this work. And I might as well go back to my regular camera. Let's get rid of this thing. Here we go. Yeah, I don't feel like moving the camera again, so this is all you get. But there was all of this work put in for years to memorize all of this worthless bullcrap. Not all worthless, but a good amount of it worthless. But then when it comes to the actual last 50 to 70 years of our country, it's just gone. There was no time for it. You get 1 year for the entirety of United States history. And they couldn't even fit everything in. The curriculum in New York is just such a pathetic joke. This camera's not focusing on me very well. This is a pretty crappy camera angle, too. But I want to see if this works more than I want to move a camera, so this is what you get. You get the back of my blurry head. Are you sick of the HP Bug Eyes ad on YouTube? I haven't seen... I use YouTube Red, so I haven't seen any ads. I mean, I've never liked HP products because they've almost always been shit. Except for my HP power supply, but that doesn't count. That was made before I was born. I read this thing earlier this year where HP was doing this diversity thing where if your company does not meet their diversity requirements, they're just not going to pay the bill. Which pretty much sealed my fate for never buying an HP product so long as I'm alive. Man, can you imagine that? Can you imagine I go into your store, I ask for services, you provide the services, you give me the services, and then I say, can I see the demographics at your company? Oh yeah, I'm not going to pay my invoice until you fix that. Yeah, HP is on a long list of companies that I don't want anything to do with. So I'm going to put this heatsink on, put the speaker on. What do you say about the argument that it's about learning to learn, the content does not matter? The idea is that school is about teaching you learning methods. You can then go on your own to learn full history and everything else you complain about. Well, again, if there's a difference between learning and memorization. Again, there's a big difference between learning and memorization that school gets wrong. A lot of when you're interested in something, everything works differently. And I could be wrong here. I could be completely talking out of my ass. But I believe that there's some sort of dopamine release when you're learning something that's actually relevant. When you feel good as you're learning, that is not present when you're learning something that is just complete and utter garbage. And that kind of makes you better. It kind of energizes your brain and actually strengthens your brain as you're going. You know, all of these things that I know now, I mean, a lot of it is memorization, but it's fun. I found a way to make it fun. Other people find a way to make it fun and interesting so that I can actually learn. It's very different from school, where I clearly remember hating every single second of learning. And what I found is that learning in an environment where it's just indoctrination, memorize this, memorize that. Why is this relevant? Who cares? What is the story behind this? No, we can't go into the story. We can't go into the conflict between these people and that people in this period of time because I need to make sure that you memorized every last date. You've sucked the fun out of it completely. That's not learning. It's not. And if it was learning, then the people that were teaching in these schools would have been people that had real jobs in society. But a lot of the people who teach, particularly in childhood education, have never had any type of market-facing job where they actually had to provide something for someone, where they had to learn a skill set or they had to learn a trade before getting into the business. That was the argument I got. Like, you're learning how to learn, but it was such a joke because I would be in school all day. I would learn nothing. I would be just forced indoctrination of random useless facts. And then I would get home and I would sit at this little VTech computer. Anybody remember these VTech computers that they used to have in Toys R Us in the 90s? So in Toys R Us in the 90s, they had these $100 computers you could get from this company called VTech. And if you bought the $100 one rather than the $50 one, it came with BASIC. And I remember I would sit there from the time that I got home at like 3 or 4 o'clock until right up it was time for bed. And I would just sit there coding away in BASIC, making all these, reading the book, going through all the different programs I could create, trying to come up with new ideas for new programs I could create to test it. And I would sit there learning and having fun and enjoying myself for 7 hours. And a lot of that stuff was harder than what I was learning in school back in like 1995. And then I would go to school, and just memorizing a single date would feel impossible. It was this uphill battle. My brain just kind of felt like there was it wasn't like this happy dopamine response. It was this it was kind of like it was like inhaling Kester 951 straight to my brain. It was awful. And they're not teaching you how to learn. It's making you hate learning through forced indoctrination of useless information. Learning should be something that's actually kind of fun. It can be fun. It's supposed to be fun. The part about public school is that it teaches people to hate learning. It's awful. Like Jessa would make a good teacher, but you don't find people like Jessa in public schools. You find useless teachers like Mrs. Friedland that I had. You don't all the really good people they're not teaching for the most part. Yeah, you'll find the very rare people like my high school English teacher, Mr. Pelenkovic. You'll find the very rare good teachers that care, but that are actually good at making learning interesting. Like he used to take every single thing that was going on in one of those Shakespeare books, and then he would relate it to something that was going on in politics, entertainment, or even the arguments that were going on in class. So he would listen, and he would hear what people were bitching about to each other or gossiping about, and then he would tie what was going on in the book to it and put people on the spot. And that made people love learning about all this old English literature. He got people excited and involved in it. But all the other teachers, they'd just be reading the Shakespeare and going, so what imagery does this scene create? So what literary elements do you see here? What do you think Shakespeare was thinking? It's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, Shakespeare was not supposed to be used to torture children. But they make... I don't think Shakespeare would have written anything if he knew that his work was being used to torture children. It's all in the vocabulary. I mean, calling a lot of the public... Just by calling it education, I'm already conceding a point, and I should probably stop doing that. It's not public education. It's public daycare, pretending to be education. It's daycare indoctrination, pretending to be... And, I mean, you look at technology nowadays. I mean, there are so many... let's see, how many people are watching this right now? There are 728 people watching this to learn. And it's voluntary. They're not being forced. It's not like if you leave, you get in trouble, or we'll call your parents, and if they don't send you to school, then they go to jail. You can make learning fun, and you can make learning something that people actually voluntarily wish to do. You know, I think that in terms of teaching, it should be something where you should teach in a manner where the students would choose you as how they want to spend their time. Same thing with parenting. Like, you should parent in a manner where your kids would choose you as a parent if it was not something that was forced. You don't get a lot of that. And every now and then, like once... Like for 2 days a year, you'd have a substitute teacher, or you'd have somebody else come in covered for the regular teacher that was excited about teaching, that could take any subject and engage you and make you want to think and make you want to solve problems and make it fun. That was so rare. That was so rare. 99% of the time you get the, and what were the literary elements between pages 37 and 38? Stop popping that gum! It's fucking prison. It's prison. Alrighty. Let's see. Does this work? Or is this fucked? Hey! We get an all-black screen. This is no good. What about more concept-based courses where you cannot ask for help in math? On math, bunnies, because it's still for a grade, getting looked down on if I can't do torn out of context questions, but can still do my work. Why graded flowers inhibit me wanting to learn? Flowers? Bunnies? Oh, that sounds like some censorship going on here. Concept-based courses when you cannot ask for help in math assignment because it's for a grade. Yeah. I don't understand the question exactly. Time Warner is doing its jobs here. I see drop frames matter. Yep. And hey, look at that GPU that I got from eBay. eBay graphics chip. Yay. Huh. I think there was yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're filing a chargeback on somebody. Hi, eBay seller. Are you ready for my chargeback? Because you're getting lame. 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 At least we get a backlight on the screen. And we'll take one look and see if I miss something. I vote for a drunken GPU repair stream. I gotta say, my best luck has been with the 9,000 chips. The 9,000 chips are pretty usually get the job done. Hi. Lame. Can't blame the chip unless you try a reball. Fuck that. That was a beautiful melt. You saw that on camera. That was a gorgeous and glorious reflow. Let's take a look through the board before I make myself look like an idiot. I forgot to say please, bro. You're right. For the first GPU, I did a little bit of this. For the second one, I did not. All right, let's take a run through. Battle. Let's see. What do we have? What do my balls look like? Let's move this camera back to a sane position, shall we? That's decent enough. Okay. Not being able to effectively learn concept because cannot ask for help due to restrictions of courses being for a grade. Huh. Flow to the place. Are you supposed to be there? I don't even know at the top of my head. Let's see. Do we have donor? Do we have a trustworthy looking donor that I can grab for reference? That would be cool if I just knocked off 2 caps. If I made a mistake, that means that I can fix the mistake and get video. If I did not make a mistake, that means I got sent a shitty part. So this is one of those areas where I really hope I just made a mistake. That would be great. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything goes there. Yeah, nothing goes there. Those are some sexy solder balls, I'd say. Yeah, those are beautiful solder balls. Those joints are great. Have you seen a real surface yet? I've never seen a Microsoft Surface because they don't exist. I deny the existence of a Surface. And I did give it a decent amount, fair amount of reflow time, right? Damn. Between Apple reflow and me, this looks fairly roasted now. This was an Apple refurb. You can tell from the lack of serial number here. You missed a hint above. Let's see what Nitrocaster had to say. Yeah, it's getting late. Time to get out of here. Time to go. Time to go. So that's it for tonight. Thank you very much to everybody who watched. As always, I hope you learned something. Before we go, just a reminder, if you leave a comment afterwards, enter for a chance to win a free Lenovo Core 2 Duo Mini PC. And it even looks like it has a Windows 7 license key sticker on the side of it. So you get a Windows 7 Pro license key sticker on the side of it in addition to the computer. Free giveaway, as always. And if you're interested in doing any of this type of work in a completely entry-level job position, I have an email below. If you're just out of high school and you work at a Chipotle and you'd rather not deal with burritos and you like electronics, whatever it is, if you started off where I did, working at Modell's or KFC or some shit job like that, and you're looking to, and you find some of this stuff fun and you follow along with the videos and you kind of understand what's going on and you're willing to watch these to learn, then yeah, email may have something available for you for the next few months. So that's it for always, and as always, I hope you learned something. Don't buy your graphics chips on eBay. You'll get fucked.